Meta commentary, season 1 episode 2. See link to get a freebie and support the channel.
I'm Sam Shapiro, a psychotherapist and an enthusiast of technology and myth debunking. Today on the Tesla Genie channel, I'm going to comment on the following video. But I want to first mention that if you get a chance, check out our playlist. Then you can see our Tesla Genie series. Okay, Meta Commentary episode 2. I found out there's another person doing commentary similar to Ben Sullins. This guy's name is, it's like Zach Rios. And sorry if I mispronounced that name. Let's check this out.
Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at some people who regret buying their electric vehicles. It still baffles me how little research is done when purchasing something that's 5 or 6 figures. It really...
Wait. How does he know this? He thinks a bunch of people are buying 5 and 6 figure things and they don't look into it? Maybe 4 figure things. 5, not likely. 6 figures, very unlikely. But of course, I'm saying that without proof as well. But I still want to say that doesn't sound like a logical statement. So the less logical the statement, the more likely the person should have to back it up with some kind of evidence.
Feels like many people want to hop on the EV trend without knowing what goes into owning one.
Wait. He just called it a trend. That's like saying the cell phones that people have gotten, getting smartphones, that was a trend. Of course, well, I know right now we can say no way it was a trend. It's been proven to not be a trend. But when people started getting smartphones, you wouldn't call that a trend. You'd say they can do everything the original phone did and better, pretty much. Sometimes they'd be larger. I don't know if the battery's quite as good for longevity. So, I mean, you could actually make a case. Oh, and they start off like not having the flip idea. So if they're not a flip phone, less protection. You just have this bare screen. So you could say there, and yeah, you can get screen protectors, but you could say there are disadvantages, but in cost, right? But overall, smartphones were better. Now you could say, well, what about when VCRs and blank out what it's called, but was it Betamax, whatever the competitor was for VCRs. Yeah, at that point, if somebody started getting the competitor, we'll call it Betamax and say, hopefully that's correct, but I could say, okay, people just started getting Betamax and that's a trend. Well, it wasn't really a trend. You see, they were both competing formats for video and audio processing. You don't take one of them and say that's a trend, right? So it wasn't a trend either. Streaming, we wouldn't call it a trend. Something that's evolved and become better and better until finally it exceeds VCRs and DVDs in many capacities. I mean, you could say, well, there are disadvantages. You can't have a DVD. You can't own it like you can own. You can own the DVD, but you cannot own streaming so much. So unless you download it, I guess, and take it that way. Anyway, he's downplaying it. He's calling it a trend. There's no evidence EVs are a trend because they, when something comes along that is better in most respects, odds are it will take over or at least easily compete with the existing technology. It's just technology. Look up any technologies, and I think for the vast majority of times, you'll find what I'm saying is repeatedly correct.
Ton of stuff to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's start off with this crazy one.
Hey guys, I just posted a video about how much, oh my god, I can't even speak.
It's the same one, right, from my other video with Ben Sullins. So now Zach is doing the same one. Well, before we even hear what he might say, obviously she is doing a tremendous job getting views through this supposed bought a Tesla and regrets it thing. So amazing job she's doing. If views are the goal, if accuracy isn't if accuracy is the goal, she's doing a bad job, I would imagine. But she's doing a great job with getting views.
I gotta get you to swallow anyway. I just posted a video about how good this car is. I love
All right, you've seen it before in Meta Commentary episode 1, so let's just try to get his reactions.
How often I have to charge this thing?
All right, he shook his head a little. It wasn't a major one, but there's enough of it there, indicating through body language that he is finding something that she's doing off-putting. Also, this looks longer. It looks like a lot more time is spent on her video. Did Ben Sullen's video just truncate her portion? It may have. This looks a lot longer. All right, let's get to here.
Comments. She definitely saw her monthly.
Oh, interesting. We've got.
So
Oh gosh.
bad. Like, I don't understand. Like, who genuinely likes their Tesla? What?
Okay, well that was a lot. Before I say anything, let's just go over to the comments.
Let's see. The comment is a comment on her comments, and he's going to comment on those comments on her comment, which makes my commenting on his comment to that. This is meta commentary. What do I do? It's partly meta commentary and partly meta commentary. I'm going to keep this as a meta commentary episode.
Definitely saw her monthly payment. Now I'm not sure what her payment could be. It might be a little bit lower because it sounds like she traded in a Toyota Camry, which in my opinion, and I guess hers, was a mistake. But here's another one. You weren't ready for a Tesla. You have to have a home charger. I agree. So this one sounds like she liked the way.
Okay, so I actually sold my Camry. Could have traded in, but I got more money selling it. By the way, that usually you get more if you sell it yourself, but there's more effort. I sold my Camry to get a Tesla, so I know what that's like. At least, what happened with me doing it. They talked about her payment. First of all, as we've said in Meta Commentary episode 1, she's almost definitely acting. The body language is not there saying she's being that she really is feeling the way she is. Secondly, she has everything to gain by this melodramatic supposed regret. I mean, can imagine the view she's getting. Just from this video and the Ben Sullen's video, she's had, what is that, about 1.5 million? Something like that. A lot of views anyway. A lot of views. So, the payment. So, if she got, I don't know if she didn't, I can tell you by looking at it, she didn't get like the most expensive Tesla. So if she got, let's say, a Model 3, possibly a Y, those payments are all within the norm. In other words, actually the average EV, last I checked, this was several months ago, the statistics were showing the average EV at the time cost less than the average emissions vehicle. If that's changed since the tax credit's gone away, then the average EV may be 10% more than the average emissions vehicle, which doesn't at all warrant her reaction, her supposed reaction. But let's see if he knows that.
Look, I think this might be a Model 3.
Actually, so far what he said show he doesn't know that, but let's see if he says something else that shows he knows it.
Other research was done other than the possible 10-15 minutes for a test drive, and now you have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, I don't even think anyone would do a 10 or 15 minute test drive. 30 at the very minimum. Multiple test drives most people are going to do. They don't just buy it or buy it without any test drive. Although I am a rare person who picked my college without first visiting it. Colleges, I think, both degrees. And then I got the Tesla without test driving it. But I did a lot of research to make sure the statistics were accurate, and what I wanted was accurate, that it had virtually no disadvantage to what I already had. I mean, very little minor stuff, just like the flip phone versus smartphone example. But yeah, almost everyone, however, test drives and doesn't do a 15-minute test drive. Maybe he's just being silly and exaggerating, but I don't know, it doesn't seem to match the rest of his explanations.
Consequences. Just from the background of the clip, it looked like there were palm trees, so I'm assuming warmer weather. But if she wasn't,
that was smart. I like how he looked into that. Although you could say if there's palm trees, there's a better chance that you have to run the air conditioner more, but that doesn't use up much power. It's more than not running it, but it doesn't use up that much. You might have I don't know, A really hot climate, maybe a 10 or 15% range drop. But can I tell you something? AI makes all kinds of mistakes, but there's some factual things it typically gets right, or more often than not. So AI might actually give you a better explanation of things than some of these videos you'll see on the internet. And you could look up what is the average Tesla lose in range in, let's say, 90-degree weather. I've driven it in the middle of summer. It wasn't much of a range loss, not really. No.
Cold climate, the range on these vehicles dropped drastically. So that
Okay, that's just a myth. It's just not true. It's a complete falsehood. And at this point, hopefully, he doesn't continue on that trend. Maybe that's an exception, but for him to say something that's absolutely false, that's a true myth, is really wrong. And I've addressed this in previous videos. If you, and by the way, I think I said something like, I've been in the negatives around here. I don't recall specifically if I was driving the Tesla in negatives. It might have been like 4 degrees or something like that. Check my prior videos for other information. But driving the Tesla, just the other day, it was very cold and not much range loss. It was in the 30s, so that's not super cold. It's like maybe 31. Or was it high 20s? I don't have the specifics for you, but I did remember at the time I looked, it was somewhere close to freezing, or close could it be, above or below. And it was, I had about a 10% range loss, somewhere around there. And you can drive it. I said they've tested them in Alaska. They do great. Yes, you'll have more range loss maybe in Alaska in the winter. It can get pretty bad for if you go north enough. But that's not typical. Most people are not up there. So if you had a 30% range loss in negative 20 degrees, but actually even a 30% range loss on a 330-ish mile vehicle, that's still hundreds of miles, right? And that's an exceptional circumstance. So I don't like it when people go on the internet and spew out myths as if they're facts. He should do the research before doing his video. Yeah, I'm kind of saying that because of his what he said about people doing research before buying an expensive item, which I don't think is typically true, unless you're super rich and you just, you're like, you have 100 million and you're like, oh, I'll buy that vehicle, it's 150,000, whatever, let me just buy it and try it. I mean, that's a different story though, but it's not going to produce a crazy reaction like supposedly she had.
could have been a problem right there in the time that it takes to charge. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, this was a pretty dramatic example of instant regret. I asked you guys in an older video which
No, it wasn't. It was a melodramatic, false, well, almost certainly false example of supposed instant regret. She might have after the video been like, I love it. It's so amazing how I can say this. I'm acting, so I don't feel like I'm being dishonest. So I'll just say it. I'm an actress. And I'll get millions of views or whatever she got. And then, and I'm going to enjoy my Tesla because I'm not selling it. I would have, the way to sell it is not from saying on video, please buy my Tesla. And she didn't have compelling reasons. Actually, why would anybody buy it if she's saying it's bad, right? It's just insanity.
An electric vehicle. Nope. Yes, I'd get an RC one. I thought that was pretty funny. Only if it was free. There's a lot of people saying no, and like I've said before, I'm not 100% against EVs. I just don't think the technology and infrastructure are there yet. I'd rather sit and wait on it and then possibly get a daily commuter down the road. I don't think EVs would ever take over the enthusiast space, but I just don't think it's there right now.
He just seems to be spouting off whatever myths or misinformation he's heard. I don't hear him showing any accuracy here. The infrastructure, while there are less EVs, EV chargers, and I've gone over this before, if there are less EV chargers, but you still have enough to get anywhere you want to go, anywhere, just about anywhere in North America. I don't know about Mexico though. Then what's the problem? I mean, maybe you might say there's more effort to get to the charger, but a Tesla will take you there. You don't have to find your charger. You don't have to do any of that. And if at some point in the process you're at a grocery store or a restaurant or something, then you could always just, pick one, or have the Tesla might pick one, with amenities that you want anyway. But yeah, if it's a commute, like 100 miles a day commute to work, no problem. Hey, I could do, I do have a home charger, so that makes it even easier. But I could go from home to a place 150 miles away in the cold, and back, all on one charge. I can make it that far, 150 miles every single day, and just charge it at night. Or I could go to superchargers, but I wouldn't want to go to supercharger every day though. So if you need to do 150 miles each way commute every day, and you don't have a home charger, and the place you're going to doesn't have a charging area, I guess we could say, A, don't get an EV if that's even completely insist on that pattern, at least not for that purpose. And B, the infrastructure isn't there because you don't have a charging at every place you might go that's 150 miles away.
Let me de-influence you. Do not get an electric car. This is the worst financial decision I've ever made in my entire life. I decided I want to get a bigger car, like a Toyota Land Cruiser. So I was just looking around to see what the resale.
I want you all to notice, as she's saying things like the biggest mistake she's made of her life, usually if someone makes a mistake that's the biggest, or even maybe the top 10, something like that, they're going to have more emotional expression. Did you see her eyebrows? Almost nothing. Look around her eyes. Look at all the body language. It's pretty much nothing. She is not showing any body language indicating that she agrees with her own statement. It doesn't appear to resonate with her. I don't believe she is being honest whatsoever. I won't say anything about him right now. Let's just his body language, but I mean, you can look at him and could draw your own conclusions. But anyway, let's wait and see what's said.
Value was for my 2023 Mach-E. It's a Mustang. When I tell you that I owe $48,000 on this
His body language is so obvious there that I probably don't need to say anything about that at all.
car, and the resale value is like $20,000. Some of them are $17,000, which is insane to me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I really don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm stuck in this car. I'm not paying $28,000 negative equity. That's ridiculous. And they don't tell you that when you go and buy this car, that the resale of them is really terrible. And they should tell you that. The salespeople should be upfront and honest with you about that. And some people would say, well, you should have done your research. That's not the point.
Okay, so you think when you go to a car place, they're going to volunteer the resale value information? And by the way, yes, there are some Teslas that have gone down substantially in resale value, but last I recall, I looked at the research about comparing that to emissions vehicles, and it wasn't typically a dramatic difference. It depends on certain things, like certain models can have that issue, but that can happen with emissions vehicles too. So it is worse, or was worse at that time. Now the tax credit's gone, I'm wondering if there's less of that, because if you paid $7,500 less when you purchased it, and now you can't buy them new with the $7,500 off, that could affect the resale value such that they no longer are dropping. They might possibly have gone up a little because of that. So, but I don't know. So that's something that can be looked at online.
Point is that if you're selling something, because I paid $58,000 after all the warranties, and because I did get extra warranty on this car because it does have a battery in it, and I didn't know.
So I think in her case, she's saying it's not a Tesla, and she has a worry about the battery. But even on a non-Tesla, the battery warranties tend to be at least 8 years. 10 years is something I've also seen. And with Teslas, you get 8 years up front for the battery warranty, and there might be a way to extend it, get an extended warranty that lasts for another 2 years. Yeah, I think that I had read that. So what is she talking about? She bought a warranty because of the battery on a car that is a battery warranty, most likely 8 to 10 years. So what does she need to do? Did she get like was it a 10-year warranty and she bought a 5-year extension it just doesn't sound like it makes much sense. Also, as we all, well, many of us know, battery prices, almost any technology price goes down over time as newer technologies come about. So if in 11 years she needed new batteries, at the rate of dropping prices, the cost for the batteries that are in her vehicle now should be a lot less. I'm going to guess 2,000 at most. And actually, the way technology is accelerating, yeah, it could be a lot less, like 1,000. Just doesn't make sense. Does he believe her, though? I'm wondering what he's going to say. I guess I paused at a strange time for his face, because he's got his eyes like partly open. But anyway, that does not count as a body language to read. I don't think, because he's probably just blinking, unless he did a slower shutting his eyes. But I didn't pay attention to that part. Keep watching your eyebrows, by the way. Watch the minimal expression.
What the longevity of that was. So after tax, title, fees, the warranties, it was $58,000.
You're talking almost $60,000 for a Mach-E. That is still in production right now, but with the F-150 Lightning being discontinued along with a ton of other EVs, I wouldn't doubt that it would happen to this model as well, because...
Wait. Yeah, there are EVs being discontinued, there are new ones being made. There are some brands not focusing as much on EVs, and there are some that are, especially if we're talking worldwide, but if we stick to America only, he has a bit more credibility with that statement.
Nobody wants one, and that's why they're selling for 17 to 20.
Nobody wants one? Then that's why? Where's his evidence? I mean, that's insane. You can see, if I showed him a comparable emissions vehicle that went down similar in price, or maybe almost the same, like instead of going down to like 17,000, went to 18,000 or 19,000, doesn't that blow his whole theory out of the water?
$1,000. But I think this comment from you guys goes perfectly. No one told me. Welcome to real life. The salesman didn't tell me that this thing would tank in value.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess a salesman could say, they don't know how much to go down. I mean, it might go down a lot, it might go down some, but it just historically, that's just not something they get into on anything. Same with a smartphone. You don't go to an Android dealer or an iPhone dealer and they're going to tell you, okay, you're paying $1,000 for this phone today, but within whatever months or year or something, it's going to drop down to 800 and then 600 and so on. They're not going to do that. It's just welcome to real life. Okay, ha, I guess. But it's just a strange point to me, especially when we get away from all this and realize he's not making good points so far about all this.
So quickly. But if you did any research for yourself, all new vehicles go down in value, but especially the EVs lately. That's why I think these videos are so important.
That wasn't bad. So there he said they all go down. So that's true. But remember, I think he's missing the point that so far he's showing people that there's no credibility, there's no evidence that they truly believe what they're saying, that they're not doing it for any other reason than getting more clicks.
To make, because I understand not everybody's a car person, knows every single model that's on the road, all the new stuff that's coming out in the future, what's being discontinued, but you need to have some base level knowledge, especially if you're going to a dealership buying a new vehicle. And if not, you can get stuck in a situation like that.
I will never in my life own an electric vehicle. It's been one of the most aggravating experiences I've ever had in my life. I had to take my truck to the dealership to get some sensors fixed on the exhaust that was only supposed to take one day.
What? The exhaust? Does she mean... maybe she means she has a gas vehicle, emissions vehicle, and it had a problem, and then she used an electric vehicle for a day. Let's see.
Well, guess what? It took longer, so I had to end up charging this vehicle.
Wait. She is talking about an electric vehicle? What? With emissions? With exhaust? I mean, that there is no exhaust. What? And why doesn't he look perplexed by that?
I went to the first charging station, doesn't hook up. Went to the second charging station, 20 minutes away, hooks up, turbocharge, cool. 40 minutes it takes for a turbocharge. That cost me.
Okay. What is a turbocharge? I mean, I guess she means it's fast, but how fast is a turbocharge? What is that? It's like, I know Tesla calls their fastest chargers superchargers. Other chargers might be called level 3 chargers. I mean, she can say turbocharge if she wants, but I don't know, 40 minutes? What is this? Maybe she has was she using a Lucid 450 or 500, whatever their max miles is on their car, and it's just so huge, and she wanted to go from 1 mile left to the max. I mean, I guess that could explain it, but that's not normal. That's not how you charge an electric vehicle. You go from maybe 20% to 80% in perhaps 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. You know, that's about it. So I don't know what she's talking about.
$55. Get back into
Wait. It was $55? You know, by the way, the odds that she's talking about one of those 450 or 500 mile charging vehicles is very low. So most likely she's talking about more of a standard vehicle, which is going to be around high 200s to mid 300s in charging. And to be able to pay that much, I don't know how you do that. I can charge my vehicle from 0 to the mid 300s for under $20 at a local charging station. So that was a very good price charging station, but even if I paid double that, it's still less than $50. So it's just she doesn't make sense again. He has like a smirk there. He might be thinking, more evidence, EVs are bad. Can't wait to talk about this one. Well, we'll see what he says, but that's my guess is how he's going to respond. By the way, I've never seen any of his videos before, so I'm not judging this based on anything I knew about him previously, except I watched like 2 minutes or so of this before I even turned it on for this meta commentary. And of course, keep in mind her body language. How likely is she being accurate and honest, or how much is she just going over some kind of a script or outline that she curated because she knew this would get her views?
It's only gonna last 243 miles. What a waste.
Oh, 243 miles, 40 minutes to charge. That makes no sense. If it was turbocharging, if that means a level 3 charger. If she means a level 2 charger, which are more meant for experiences like you go to the grocery store and you charge while you're there, and you get out of the grocery store and you're charged. That could explain it. But then I don't know who would say turbocharging about a level 2 charger.
Of my time. Fast forward 2 days later, still no call from the dealership yet.
Look at the eyebrows. They keep staying positioned. Like there's no expression, no feeling behind what she's saying. She's just reading a script or remembering her script or whatever.
I'm having to charge the car.
Wait, a little expression there, a little bit. So either she's acting well, or something she said there resonated, although it didn't seem like enough to be an accurate resonation. Not with the typical person. I've said before, I don't have, in some circumstances, I don't have as much of that myself as a typical person, but there's no reason to believe she is, outside the norm in that capacity. That was enough of that. It was just a bunch of, at least from what I saw so far, it's him having strong negative biases based in myths primarily, that he would then show all these negative EV statements, which seem to be a bunch of acting to get clickbait, click view, not clickbait, but sort of, but to get views, at least based on the body language and some of the lack of consistent factual information from people that supposedly had EVs. It was just a bunch of that, and he just kept going on, and I don't see the need to continue doing any more of that video. So unless people want me to, I could consider doing it further. But it is frustrating. I do get frustrated by all the myth-loving out there. Yeah, that's that. All right. Bottom line, EVs are a disaster and won't be around much longer. That's why nearly every major automaker is investing billions in them, out of pure charity. And hey, they say once you go EV, you don't go back. You just glide silently past gas stations like they're Blockbuster.
The commentary was inaccurate. Independent statistics show the vast majority of EV owners go on to purchase one or more additional EVs.
The commentary was accurate. EVs are a fad at best and will bleed you dry.
Meta commentary, like and subscribe. See the link in the description to get your own Tesla.